You know that feeling when everyone around you seems to have someone to lean on, someone to pick up the pieces when things get messy, and you realise you've been carrying your own weight for as long as you can remember? Maybe it's subtle, like deciding not to call a friend because you don't want to bother them, or more obvious, like quietly solving a problem alone that feels too big to share. Most people never notice this about you, but it shapes your days, your choices, and even the quiet moments when you think no one is watching. Society tends to misread this. People might call it stubbornness, pride, or even coldness. Sometimes it's seen as a lack of connection or empathy. But that's not the truth. It's not a character flaw, and it's not evidence that something is wrong with you. What you're doing is following a pattern, one that your mind and body learned over time, because it worked, even if it doesn't always feel easy. What I'm talking about is the psychology of people who don't ask for help. There's more going on here than most conversations ever acknowledge. It's not just a quirk of personality or a matter of willpower. It's a deeply rooted way of navigating the world, a combination of learned habits, nervous system adaptations, and subtle rewiring that happens across years of experience. From a psychological perspective, people who hold back from asking for help are often operating on a deep sense of autonomy and self-preservation. Studies in behavioral science show that individuals who have repeatedly experienced unpredictability in support, whether emotional, social, or practical, tend to develop what psychologists call self-reliant coping strategies. Essentially, the brain learns that relying on others can feel risky, so it prioritizes solving problems internally. Neuroscience helps us understand this further. The amygdala, responsible for detecting threats, and the prefrontal cortex, which manages planning and decision-making, collaborate in subtle ways to keep you alert. Your brain notices that leaning on others might bring disappointment, judgment, or delay, so it trains you to shoulder burdens quietly. This doesn't happen randomly. Often, it has roots in early experiences. Perhaps there were times in childhood when your needs went unnoticed or weren't met reliably. Maybe asking for help once led to frustration or dismissal, teaching your nervous system that independence was safer. Over time, these small lessons accumulate, shaping a pattern where self-reliance becomes both protective and automatic. It's not simply a preference, it's a strategy that kept you moving forward when no one else was there. Yet it's important to understand this without judgment. There's no hierarchy here. Choosing to ask for help isn't inherently better than managing alone, just as managing alone isn't inherently better than reaching out. People are wired differently, and the world needs both kinds of responses. What you do is valid, it's human, and it's one way among many that people navigate the unpredictable landscape of life. There's a paradox in this behaviour that often goes unnoticed. On one hand, refusing help can cultivate resilience. You become skilled at problem solving under pressure, resourceful in situations others might find overwhelming. On the other hand, it can carry quiet costs, fatigue, isolation, and the subtle erosion of intimacy. You may notice yourself nodding along when someone praises independence, but feel a small, unspoken ache in moments where sharing might have lightened the load. The hidden strength and the hidden cost coexist, and recognizing both is part of understanding the whole picture. It's easy to look at yourself and think something is lacking, that needing support or choosing not to ask reflects inadequacy. But the truth is that your experience makes perfect sense. You've learned to navigate life in a way that feels safe, efficient, and reliable. You're not broken, you're not distant or detached. You're someone whose nervous system has adapted to the rhythms of unpredictability and uncertainty. And that adaptation has value. There's a quiet dignity in managing your own burdens, a subtle mastery in navigating challenges alone, even if it sometimes feels heavy. And yet, if you pause, you might notice spaces where curiosity stirs moments when the idea of reaching out doesn't feel dangerous, just possible. There's more to explore there, layers of yourself that you've only glimpsed in passing. Understanding why you move through life this way opens doors not to change who you are, but to expand the ways you engage with the world, to notice the parts of yourself that can choose freely rather than default to strategy. If this resonates, there's more to uncover about how patterns like these shape your relationships, your energy, and the quiet ways you interpret the world, not as a prescription for change, but as a lens, a way of seeing yourself with the same depth and compassion you might extend to someone else. Because even when help feels out of reach, Even when your shoulders carry weight alone, there's value in noticing the story beneath it, the story that belongs entirely to you.